Hello ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Dork Side. It is I, your friendly neighborhood dork in the road, and today we're going to talk about that frequently asked question a lot of new motorcyclists have, and that is, should you buy and wear used motorcycle gear? Spoiler alert, the answer is yes, but with one very important caveat, so stay tuned. Stay tuned is kind of a stupid thing to say, you know. It's not like you're going to change a channel. I guess you could, like, I should say, like, don't click off the video or whatever, but it's definitely an anachronistic saying. Anyway, you know how, like, some videos like to say, oh, but there's one thing you should never forget, and then save it till the end of the video, make you wait through the whole damn thing to hear it. I'm not going to do that. So, double spoiler alert, yes, used gear is good, and I personally believe you should seek it out, and if you get the opportunity to buy gear, used gear, you're going to get better quality gear for less money, and that's always a good thing. The one thing you should not do that with is helmets. I would never buy a used helmet unless I knew the person that purchased it and knew it was relatively new and trusted their word that it hadn't been dropped or otherwise abused. That's the whole video. No, I'm kidding. So a little bit to elaborate a little bit. In general, Fort 9's got a great video on gear and how long it lasts and how long it takes to wear out, and I've seen some other research on stuff, and in general, used gear is going to use jackets, pants, boots. They're going to retain their effectiveness, and by effectiveness I mean protection, because gear is all about protection as far as I'm concerned. If you don't know, if you haven't heard me talk about it before, protection is number one, comfort is number two, and style is a distant third in my book. Textile jackets, leather jackets, boots, those things don't really lose that much safety effectiveness, protection effectiveness. They lose some, just because the stitches get a little tired and stuff like that as it wears out, but in general it's going to maintain 90% effectiveness, I believe, from what I've seen and read. If you find a smoking deal on a used leather jacket, well, you know that leather, even if someone's crashed in it, it retains most of its protectiveness. So now obviously you want to take a good look at whatever gear you're thinking about buying that's used, but man, that's a great way to get particularly expensive stuff a lot cheaper. Textile stuff, so long as it hasn't been wrecked in, the guy hasn't got hurt, nobody's gone down in it, you're probably okay. But textile gear tends to be disposable after a wreck. It tends to be, okay, it saved me once, but now I need to replace it. So if you've got people doing that, you just need to look real carefully, because think about why they're replacing it. Sometimes people just upgrade and that's okay. Sometimes we gain or lose weight, that's fine. Sometimes people get out of motorcycling, that's cool, but if it's because they went down, I would not recommend that piece of gear. So be careful with that. Make sure that it's still gonna protect you. That's the most important thing, obviously. Pants, jackets, that stuff, where it wears out, it tends to be in its weatherproofing. So you have to understand that if you buy a used jacket, it may not protect you from the elements as well, but it will protect you from the ground nearly as well, most likely. So keep that in mind, because you know, waterproof coatings wear off. They're worse at shedding water the older a piece of gear is, and that might be a reason that someone's upgrading to or replacing gear, is because it's lost its weather protection effectiveness. So there's one minor exception to this and one major exception. The minor exception is gloves do wear out. They're about the only part of your gear that is constantly in contact with something, and it seems silly, but even leather gloves, the palms will eventually wear thinner and offer you less protection. So I don't know, gloves are like the cheapest piece of gear there is anyway, and I still think a 5-year-old pair of really nice gloves is going to be better than a brand new pair of shitty gloves. Just know that gloves do wear out a little bit. They lose a little bit of their effectiveness. I've seen a few tests where someone took an old glove and a new glove, and the old glove was far less effective at protecting abrasion resistance. So keep that in mind with your gloves. They do wear out. Jesus, guy, pick a freaking place to turn. And of course, the big exception, the elephant in the room, is helmets. Now, the thing is with helmets is they're designed to protect your brain. Did you know that? They are. And they have a shelf life, because the way helmets work, roughly, just basically, and I'm not an engineer obviously, is there's a layer of foam around your head and that foam compresses when you hit something hard, and that's what protects you. It slows down the impact, softens it as you hit the inside of the helmet instead of the ground. Now that foam wears out, and it has a shelf life of about 5 years, and after 5 years, and from what I've read, it doesn't seem to matter what kind of foam or what the manufacturer is. After 5 years, you should stop using that helmet because the foam won't protect you as well. And since, you know, brains are important, you want your brain to be protected. That's reason one why you shouldn't buy a used helmet, because if they're older, and a lot of them have a manufacturer date inside, you can look for a tag that'll tell you. But you should never wear a helmet more than 5 years old. I've read that from multiple places. And the other reason why you shouldn't buy a used helmet is if they get dropped, or someone's been into an accident with one or whatever, if that foam gets compressed at all, at any time, it ceases to be effective. It's a disposable, one-time use kind of thing. So if someone dropped the helmet once, it could theoretically compress that foam, and then if you were to hit your head in the same place, you would be mostly unprotected. And there is no way to know whether a helmet has been dropped or not. And that's why I said I would only consider buying a used helmet from somebody that I knew really well, who could tell me unequivocally that I trusted that that helmet had not been dropped, that foam had not been compressed, because a mine is a terrible thing to waste, you know. So it's important. Spend the money, don't be cheap. You can get a good quality helmet like this one I'm wearing. The CL17 is Snell rated, super high safety rating, and it's $150 or less helmet. So it's loud, but it's definitely protective. So you don't have to spend a ton of money. I would just say new helmet every time, and stop wearing your helmets after 5 years, replace them. So you kind of have to just throw them away after that, because you shouldn't be selling used helmets that are more than 5 years old to people. That's a little bit unethical, and you know they don't work. You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying, G? Now that we've established that you can and should buy used gear, except for helmets and maybe gloves, where do you get it? A few good places. Craigslist is an obvious one, and like I said, people will get out of motorcycling or outgrow their gear or whatever, and you can buy that stuff, or they upgrade and you can get their older stuff cheap, half price or less, on Craigslist if you watch. And the advantage of Craigslist is it's local, and you get to actually try the thing on before you buy it. You get to check out the condition, because you know they may not take pictures of the bad spots. You need to be able to turn it over and look at it yourself. You can also buy used gear on eBay, but you got to be careful you're not getting the cheap Chinese knockoff crap. One way to tell is the price. If it's like a full suit of race leathers and it's 150 bucks, that's not real. That's fake. Don't buy that. Unless they're, I don't know, I wouldn't even touch it. You know how much things cost, look up the new prices, and if it's not within the ballpark of that, then something's going on, and you probably should just avoid that piece of gear like the plague. Because gear is designed to save your life, you don't want to buy imitation fashion leather and find out the hard way that it's not going to protect you. I have seen motorcycle gear at thrift stores, Goodwill, places like that. If you look, again, don't buy helmets, but you can find jackets and boots. You can buy, keep an eye out for like motocross boots. Sometimes they throw them in with the ski boots because they don't know the difference. So you got to look there. This guy's slow. Slow guy. Oh, another great place is internet forums. So if you're on I don't know, there's a Versus forum or a local riders forum or whatever, people sell their stuff, and in general you can go back and look at people's post histories and get an idea if they seem to be a decent human being, if they know what they're talking about, if they're in general honest, if they're an active member versus just some lurker that popped on to sell garbage to people. Those are a few places, and you can also get good stuff on closeouts like motorcyclecloseouts.com, or just go to the Revzilla clearance section. A lot of stuff goes on way cheap sale because the new style comes out. For instance, this AGV sport jacket that I'm wearing I got for half price because it was the prior year's model, but it's just black, so who gives a crap. Like, and again, I told you fashion is my least concern, so you can get good stuff, especially if you're not concerned about what it looks like, not overly concerned. Pretty cheap. Another great place, and they're not necessarily used, but if you're looking for cheap motorcycle gear, I just ordered a new helmet. I remember I told you guys I was looking for helmets. Well, Amazon Warehouse Deals, which is where they sell stuff that's been returned or whatever that they can't sell as new, had a Bell Qualifier DLX in my size for half price. So I bought that. It was just one that had been tried on and returned. So it's coming today. I'm pretty excited about it. But if you check out Amazon Warehouse Deals, you gotta get lucky and find something in your size, but because they don't have all the sizes, obviously, if it's just stuff that's been returned. But good place to look. In general, the answer to the question, should you buy used motorcycle gear? I say emphatically yes. Save money, just be careful, buyer beware, make sure you're paying attention, buy stuff that's going to protect you, that's still in good shape. You know, use your common sense and all that. Don't get blinded by a good deal and end up with garbage. Don't buy used helmets, and I'd be wary of buying used gloves. What do you guys think about used gear? Do you have any used gear horror stories? Bad buying experiences or good buying experiences? What's the best used gear deal you ever got? Tell me in the comments. Disagree with me in the comments, that's fine. Not everyone buys used, you know, but not everyone has the same budget, so I'd rather have a full set of used gear than spend all my money on a helmet and ride around with nothing else. And one more thing I completely forgot to mention. Don't forget, August 12th, Dorks in the Road group ride meetup, meeting at 10 a.m. in Albany, Oregon. Probably a 1 to 2 hour ride, and then hopefully lunch and a couple beers afterwards. So if you're interested, I'll put a link to the Facebook event below. But if you're not on Facebook, just know that it is August 12th, 10 a.m. in Albany, and we hope to see you there. And as always, don't forget, 1, that I'm not a doctor of motorcycling, I'm just a dude, so you don't have to take my advice. And 2, please, as always, ladies and gentlemen, do not forget to be excellent to each other. Thank you.
Excellent!